Welcome back to Brands Hatch for round 14 of the iRacing British Touring Car Championship. Round 13 is out of the way, and that was one hell of a race, Dan.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. We said at the start, though, that traffic could play a part in the conclusion of the race, and that's how it turned out to be for Andreas Katz. But Andreas Katz pulling off some fantastic driving, and I think we may be able to show you that in a minute.
We've just got that up on screen now. So this is the penultimate lap. These three leaders, Katz in second, coming through to lap the Dynojet car you see on the right there. When we saw this, holds the slide and manages to retain second place. How he managed to keep that car on the road, I will never know. But let's have a look at that now from another angle, and you'll see exactly what we mean by this incident here. Look at this. The car was almost sideways, I think.
It's just fantastic driving.
Richard Wilde, I don't know whether
that
he...
car,
I mean, he might well have just stayed behind him just to avoid a crash there, but you know, he didn't manage to get in second place out of that.
Without it was just watching in absolute bewilderment, like we were as well, and just how he managed to hold on to it.
I think perhaps we can see that from Richard Wilde's point of view now as well. Just the Dynojet car really having nowhere to go there, and you know, it was almost gymkhana from Katz to keep the car on the track. So we're going to join up now.
Yeah, I think the Dynojet car. What happened there with the Dynojet car, I think, was as they got to the entrance of the corner, he knew he was running out of road. Instead of going across the grass, he tried to come back, tried to get back onto the racing line, but unfortunately Andreas Katz had already decided he was going to get that piece of tarmac, and of course the inevitable happened, and they met in the middle there. So I think it was a bit unfortunate for both drivers, really. The Dynojet driver, Sam Goff, didn't mean to cause the collision, of course, but he was just trying to keep it off the grass, but unfortunately he came right into the path of Andreas Katz there.
What do you think, Dan? Should he have gone on the grass? Should he have felt obliged to do that, or was he well within his rights to kind of stay on the edge of the track there?
Part of me thinks that maybe he should have given up his position. I know he was racing for position, of course, which we won't forget, but one of the other cars who was racing in that pack decided to drop back and let the leaders through, just because I think he didn't want to cause an incident. And
well, we didn't see it
I think
just there
that
on
happened
camera,
in real racing.
He did give up the position. I think there's just that he ran out of track, obviously, and he had two choices: stay on the track, risk a collision, or go on the grass. But you know, it's debatable as to whether he should have gone on the grass to get out of the way. I mean, do you need to go off the track to let someone through, or should Katz have actually sort of slowed down and maybe taken that corner a little bit tighter?
I think the Dynojet car and pass on the exit of Graham Hill. There was a little bit of a straight there, and they were close to him then. I think he probably could have let him go a bit earlier, but saying that, it's not real racing. These aren't professional drivers. They will make mistakes, so we can't really fault them and say that they're at fault or whatever, because they're not professional drivers. But I think he definitely would have learned something from that, the Dynojet driver.
Absolutely. And just on the subject of this series itself, definitely not a professional series here on iRacing. This series is open to everybody, even if you're not in the UK and I, where the club is run from. But if you are an iRacing member and you fancy a go at some touring car style driving alongside the likes of Andreas Katz, who we just saw, Adam Terry, and Ade Koba Lopez, I'll get his name right, I had to think about that one for a moment, then search BTCC on the iRacing League and you will be able to join in the fun as well. Big grids, as you can see here, lots of people turning out for every single race that we have here, which is fantastic to see, really. And if you're watching and you've never tried iRacing before and you're thinking about it, you like other driving games, perhaps you're looking for something a little bit more realistic, a little bit more organised, then this is definitely the game for you. 3 months for the price of one at the moment on new sign-ups, so I think your $12 gets you 3 months of membership. Plenty of time to find out if you like it, and you could well be joining these boys on the track. And here on BSR TV we're covering each one of these rounds live, so plenty of chance to see. Oh, there's I'm just watching off camera there, a little bit of a collision during the warm-up session. Plenty of chance to see some live racing, even if you're not competing in it yourself. So, predictions this time round. Lopez on pole, Katz managing second place, don't know how, and Wild third. Who's going to take this one down?
I think we're going to have to go Andreas Katz. I think Andreas Katz and Lopez are quite close on pace in the warm-up. There's just 13,000 separating them. So, we saw in the first race, they're very, very close together. But as we saw in the first race, I think it is going to be a case, maybe, that if there's traffic, you can get through it the quickest without causing them damage or damage to others. It's very unpredictable, as we saw. So, but I do fancy Andreas Katz for a win in this meeting, and I think this will be his best chance with the reverse grid. Obviously, we'll probably see him a bit further back, unless of course he gets caught up in something in this race. But we'll have to see what happens. But I'm going to go with Andreas Katz for this one.
And I have to say, I have to add to that the first corner really wasn't messy, and neither was the second really. I think we lost about 3 or 4 cars in the first 2 corners, but out of a field of 33, pretty good.
That wasn't bad. We got through Paddock Hill, right? It just seemed to be, I saw a couple of cars at Druids which went a bit wide, and there was a little bit of contact, but I maybe unfairly labelled it as a bit of carnage. I've seen a lot worse starts, shall we say, in a few of the series that I've commentated on, so not too bad, I suppose. It could have been worse, but let's hope we not put the curse of the commentator on them now and we don't see a massive shunt.
Oh, well, it's always likely, especially in round 3, which is coming up later, but with reverse grid. But just coming back to that for a moment, you say yourself you've commentated on some of the other series, McLarens and the Williams F1 series. How do these cars compare?
Well, it's not the races I've commentated on, which I have seen some, but they're not too bad. I've seen in some of the other leagues, not necessarily ones I commentated on, but I'm quite a keen viewer of iRacing, so I watch a lot of different leagues, and compared to some of the driving standards I've seen on different leagues and different championships, this certainly is one of the cleaner series that I've seen so far.
Well, it's it's got to be difficult. 33 cars in this session, and there's only 47 seconds around the track. There's only so much track these cars can actually use before it's all used up, and this track will accept 41 cars in total. As we're just looking at the drivers gridding up now, they've got about another 15 seconds to get themselves onto the grid. Your pole man is Ade Koba Lopez, first time out, takes the win from pole position. Katz second, Wild third, Adam Terry is fourth, and Grunnell is fifth as the lights are on now for round 14. The iRacing British Touring Car Championship. The engine's rev. We're ready to go, and we're green as they pull away.
Ready to go. The lights go out, and it's a good start there from the poleman Ade Koba Lopez. Andreas Katz is in second place, but Richard Wild looking a bit menacing going down the inside. Adam Terry is fourth, and he had a good first race as far as the championship was concerned.
Oh, we got a spinner, one of the Pertex.
Car going off. It's Peter Van Gool. Peter Van Gool, that is, into the wall, Chris. But and also Neil Hind on the Welsh Motorsport cars on the grass, and there's cars going off in Druids. There's a KX car, there's a Wix Racing car, that's a double O car going round as well. So that is the car of, who's the double O? It's one of the Wix Racing guys, Simon Topham. So Simon Topham in trouble there, and we lost about 4 or 5 there on that first lap.
Well, that's a shame, but up front it's Lopez from Katz, from Wild, from Terry. So unchanged from their grid positions, as we see a little bit more carnage there, unfortunately, than last time, which is always a shame.
Yeah, the number 20, it's always a bit of a shame. I saw the number 22 Welsh Motorsport car getting a bit loose and wide. That's Graham Smith, but up front they've managed to avoid the carnage so far, and Katz maybe trying to have a little look down the inside there. Koba Lopez thought better of it. I think he's just letting him know that he's there at the moment.
And the top 3, as they were from the last race. Bear in mind, we've not seen either of the top 2 drivers overtaken under normal racing conditions in this series yet. So Lopez, although we've only seen 1 race from him, has been successful in defending all of the attempts from Andreas Katz to get past. And also Katz, no one's managed to get past him, as we just have a look at Richard Wild now coming on to lap 3 there. Terry, meanwhile, in 4th, is having his work cut out, keeping Dave Grunhill behind him. They come down paddock now. We're on board with Adam Terry. Just looking back, he gets a little bit loose out of paddock, gets a bit of gravel on those tyres, and Grunhill is not far behind, looking to take that 4th position off him.
Yeah, another car who's running well is Tristan Bottas, who had a good run in the first race as well. So 2 so far consistent drivers, though of course this race is still very, very young. We're up to traffic now. It's a KX Momentum car in front of Koba Lopez, and he is holding him up because Andreas Katz now near enough right on his boot lid, and the KX car should hopefully move over here because he's in the way of the race leader. But we'll see what happens with that as they go down towards Paddock Hill Bend.
And that car in front's not getting out of the way, so this could be interesting as we come into paddock on lap 4. Another car just off in front.
Yeah, there's a car off as well at paddock. That was the Team Hard RCIB car, Mark Fletcher, I believe. But Andreas Katz can't find a way past Koba Lopez. But that KX car in front doesn't actually seem to be going too slowly at the moment. He seems to be keeping pace near enough. But Koba Lopez still will want to try and get past him. I think I saw it was the number 55, was that? I think it's Julian Ganowski, the car who's in the way at the moment.
Down in 31st position at the moment, gets a bit wide. This might be Lopez's opportunity to go through. I think he's going to take this position. Well, it's not even a position, but he's taking it. And Janowski's not getting out of the way for 2nd place, so this could be Lopez's chance. As Katz dives down the inside, takes it, but it's going to be wide out of that first corner into paddock. Doesn't lose too much time actually, really. He's right back on the tail of Lopez. And is it that Lopez is holding these guys up?
Andreas Katz.
I mean, is it that Lopez is holding these guys up and they just can't get round?
I wouldn't know, to be fair, because he's showing good pace in the qualifying. And in the first race, he was a pick of the field. They couldn't find a way past him, but I know what it's saying. And Adam Terry 4th position. We got Grunhill in 5th, and it's a bit different from the first race. The first race we saw the first 3 pull out from the rest of them, but at the moment the top 5 have all got they're in a bit of a shout. We've got Grunhill in 5th, and then there is a bit of a gap back to the 6th place car of Tristan Bottas, and the car that we saw earlier going off was not Mark Fletcher, because Mark Fletcher is in 7th place in the Team Hard ICIB insurance car, and he's looking to put pressure under to the Speedworks car there of Tristan Bottas. So it was a teammate of Mark Fletcher we saw going off earlier.
Okay, it might well have been Chris Bull in the RCIB car, the other RCIB car in the red livery, as Adam Terry now with Dave Grunhill right behind him has one of the very bashed up Pertex just in front of him, has to get past. The leaders have already got past on lap 6, and Terry will be looking for a way around now. Keeps it much tighter through clearways, so should be able to get round. And the Pertec does yield, which is nice. I mean, coming back to Janowski for a moment, he wasn't racing for position, so should he be getting out of the way of those leaders, do you think?
I couldn't hear you. I lost you, Chris. What were you saying? Was it about back marker getting in the way?
Absolutely, yeah. When we were watching Janowski, it was he didn't yield. He wasn't racing anyone, so should he really have been getting out of the way there?
Yeah, I think he should definitely be getting out of the way. Although it's not enforceable in iRacing, I think it's just it's courtesy. And most of the back markers in the series seem to show good driving standards. I'm not saying it was bad driving standards by him, but I think that I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think it being his first meeting and the fact he's not from Club UK and I may not be used to the sort of rules they play in the UK and I, but I do think that maybe he could have been a bit more considerate, shall we say? Yeah,
quite likely. So let's have a little bit look down the field as we go on to lap 8 now. We're having a look now at Jonathan Rex is down in 24th position. There's a KX Momentum there, 23rd now. And Chepalevsky, who we saw qualify extremely well in the first race, is down at 15th. Just up ahead of him is John Richardson, the younger Richardson in the Airwaves car. So Chepalevsky will be looking for a way round. Just up in front of him is Simon Field. There's almost contact. They're rubbing a bit on the. There's damage on the front of the Airwaves car of John Richardson as well. So Stevens is right behind. Oh, and they've got contact.
Simon Field's involved there. It's Ryan Little and Simon Field. Simon Field just about gets round him. He's lost 2 positions there, but it'll be interesting to see if Littlemore span or if he was pushed there by Simon Field. But a little bit of a incident between those two. But Simon Field did well not to have too much contact from that.
And Field was an innocent bystander in that from from what I can see there. And just coming back now to have another look at that. Littlemore is alongside the Pertec up in front of him, and let's have a look on the replay. Tries to take the inside line down into Graham Hill, which is not an easy thing to do. It looks like the Pertec's just turned in on him. Yeah, the Pertec's turned in on him, not giving him enough room on the inside. Spun him sideways. Fields right into the back of him, and Simon Fields' day, you've got to say, just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought Simon Field just about avoided that, but sounds like he had a little bit of contact. And he started this meeting in third place in the championship, which Andreas Katz has taken from him. And talking of taking, Andreas Katz is looking to take the lead from Cobra Lopez. I had a little look down the inside again at Juris, but as we said in the first race, it's happened again. These top three just starting to pull out now. They've got a 4-second gap to Adam Terry in fourth place, but he's got David Guerrero right behind him. But the top three really starting to race, and Katz taking all the curve he could there, going in through 30s to McLaren's. And I think Cobra Lopez may now just be starting to hold up Andreas Katz, but as Andreas Katz knows, catching is one thing, but passing is completely different. But he's taking a different line there to the leader, Cobra Lopez, and it'll be interesting to see if he would try to stick it down the inside. But I think Cobra Lopez just about has the momentum, but Katz sticks his nose in.
Wild's gone wide.
Wild behind's gone wide into Paddock Hill. He has gone very wide. He's going to keep it on the track, but that's going to lose him a bit of time. But I think Cobra Lopez is holding up Katz, as you predicted earlier, Chris. It won't be long before he's back behind him. And as they come out with Jewids, he has nearly caught up that car length he lost.
He has, yeah, and it's interesting because there's just no way round on this track. Druids is probably the best opportunity. Hard on the brakes down the inside, but Cobra Lopez might well just be slower because he's driving that defensive line.
Yeah, well, another place you could do if you've got a lot of fortitude, shall we say, is down the inside at Paddock Hill, but that is, to make that stick, you've got to be pretty brave.
I think so. I think to get that wrong would end two cars' races. Bit more leeway at Druids perhaps, but we've seen an overtaking manoeuvre already go wrong at Graham Hill Bend, and did not go very well for either Ryan Littlemore or Simon Field. These three must be within half a second of each other on the track. I mean, they couldn't get much closer without actually touching.
This is great racing from the British Touring Car Championship, close racing, and the way these three drivers at the front of the race has been very good. There's not even been a little tap on the rear as of yet. These drivers very, very respectful of each other, and it's really good racing, close racing. And I still think at the moment any one of these top three could win the race, because one mistake, you see them lose a lot of time. And they're coming up now to another group of tail enders with a RCIB insurance car number 44, the first one they come across, and that's very respectful from him. Very well done to that driver, going across the gravel and compromising his own race just to make sure that these guys get through safely. So very, very good driving there from the number 44. As
we see Simon Goff go side by side with Marcus Naris, Naris just edges him out, and Goff, who'd just gone off at Paddock the lap before, gives him a nudge in the rear. He's going to hold that position though, Naris. Sam Goff, was I calling him Simon Goff? Perhaps I was getting a bit too excited. Sam Goff is now down in 17th position, having lost that position to Marcus Naris. Ashley Teagle is just up in front of them, not too far ahead. And Ryan Littlemore, after that sideways moment at Graham Hill Bend, is down in 18th. Just having a little look down further down the grid as well. Simon Field right behind Stephen Hefford. This is for 11th place with 3 laps to go. And let's have a look, see if we can go on board now with Simon Field, get a closer look at this action. You would expect Simon to be able to take this place, as that's James Hickson just coming off the track ahead of those two guys and being lapped again, and the Wix Racing machine just behind the Pertec now. Field might well have some damage after that collision though, just like in the first race. Oh, and he's just kissed the bumper there of the Pertec of Stephen Hefford coming into Druids.
Yeah, he's going to give him another little kiss there as well. Simon Field putting the bumper in a little bit, shall we say. But the battle for first, second and third, Richard Wild is right on the back end of Andreas Katz's car. Katz has to go very defensive to stop that Welsh Motorsport car from coming down the inside. And Welsh will be trying to, David Wild in the Welsh car will be trying to make an impression on Andreas Katz. But what that will do is allow Ade Cobra Lopez maybe a little bit of breathing space. So they go past the number 99, that's the Clears car, So that's one which has been put another lap down. But Richard Wild gone very wide there again. That's all four wheels off, and they've got to be a bit careful about that. I don't know what race control are doing about the four wheels off at Graham Hill this race, but that was definitely four wheels over there from Richard Wild. But he's definitely on the charge. He wants to try and get past Andreas Katz, but all this is allowing Ade Kobe Lopez a chance to pull away, and I think he has pulled away about 7/10 of a second on these on the following two.
Yeah, you're right, and this looks to be Kobe Lopez's race, I've got to say, unless commentator's curse stuffs it up on the last lap. I can't see that happening. He has been solid up front so far. Katz then defending from Richard Wild for second place in this race, and these guys are now 5 seconds ahead of fourth place, which is Dave Grunhill, so he's managed to edge out Adam Terry to get himself even more points, and Mark Fletcher running in sixth place. It's a very good position to be in your first outing in this series.
Yeah, it also means that Mark Fletcher will have a decent position in the reverse grid, but for the second race in a row, it's going to be Ade Kobe Lopez to take 16 laps in the quickest time, and he'll take victory. So a good win for Kobe Lopez. He's coming into the series already stamping his authority on it. Andreas Katz in second, Richard Wiles in third. Now battle for fourth place, Dave Grunhill and Terry. Grunhill beats Terry, so that's the top five there. And battle for sixth place, we've got Mark Fletcher and Tristan Bodice. And that's another good drive there from Tristan Bodice. He's had two consistent runs in the top 10. Chipoleski is in 8th position. 9th is Chris Shaw with Steve Richardson in 10th place. Simon Field, a bit of adversity along the way, but he'll be relatively happy with an 11th place finish, I think. Stephen Hefford is in 12th. John Richardson 13th. In fact, is John Richardson 13th? And John Richardson, I think, has gone off on the last lap, you know. Yes, he has. So Dan Hunt is going to take his 13th. Marcus now is 15th. Nash Teagle 15th. So John Richardson has lost the points finish there on the last lap. Very unfortunate for him.
We'll just have a look now, going back to that final lap. John Richardson, he had a lot of damage on the front of that Airways car with the two dyno jets behind him there. He is crabbing down the straight, you've got to say. He's having trouble keeping that car under control. And what's happening to him through the final corner? Yeah, he's just slid it out wide. He's in the gravel trap. The dyno jets go through. The Welch Motorsport goes through. Wow, he's lost 5 positions there possibly, but you've got to say that car was he did well to get the car home, let alone come home in 19th as he did. So let's bring those results back up. Kobe Lopez in first, Cat second, Wild third, and that is the same result as last time round, Dan.
Yeah, exactly the same. It just shows that these three drivers, they've got the right setup, and they're just about. They've got the run on the rest of the field at the moment, but Kobe Lopez is really impressive. His first 2 races, and he ends up with 2 wins, and maybe we might be able to get a third in this reverse grid race, but I think he'll struggle maybe to get past Katz and Wild. I don't know so much if Kobe Lopez was holding Katz and Wild up, but they couldn't get past him, so he's won the races, but with the shield on the other foot as such, it'll be interesting to see if it's the same result, or if Katz and Wild will be able to keep him behind.
Indeed, as we've got one more race to go now, let's see if we can have a quick word with some of these drivers. The 4th place man, Dave Grunhill, did extremely well to come home in 4th place. How was that for you, Dave? How did you manage to get around Adam Terry? Because we missed that.
I think Adam just made a little bit of a mistake, just a little bit slow out of the corner, and I managed to get up the inside, and he gave me room, and that was it. Job done.
And as a big grid, as always, you managed to keep it out of trouble so far. Has that been tough?
Yeah, it's so easy to put a wheel on the grass, and especially with most of the corners being, especially coming onto the straight, you put a wheel on there, that's it, it's game over.
So that's going to net you the 7th place start, I believe, in the final race. What's your expectations from that last race?
Hopefully finishing the top 10 and keep out of trouble. That's the big thing, is keep out of trouble.
And of course the championship's been heavily shaken up by the fact that Stevens has now finished outside the points in these last 2 races, won't get on the reverse grid either, so that's obviously going to help your chances moving up through the championship. Are you looking for top 10, top 5, podium perhaps towards the end of the season?
To be honest, it's just fun, and wherever we finish as long as we have fun and have a good race. That's all that matters.
Alright, Dave, best of luck in the last race. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I wonder if we can now have a quick word with 14th place finisher, Mr. Marcus Narris. Over to you, Dan.
Marcus, a 14th position finish in that race. How was it for you?
It wasn't bad actually. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. I started 6th, jumped the start, and managed to go from dead last on the at the end of the first lap to 14th. So I was actually quite pleased.
Yeah, very, very good recovery drive there. I just think going through the pack there, you had some fraught moments there, so some quite hard racing lower down than today.
Yeah, I owe an apology to Stephen Sharp. I got a little bit enthusiastic going into paddock up the inside of him and got into him. But yeah, apart from that, there was some good hard door-to-door racing, but nothing really over the edge. It was really good fun. Different from the first race, which was a bit of a cruise round in a couple of seconds of fresh air, but it was it was really good.
Is this one of your favourite tracks, Brands Hatch? Is this better for you than Laguna Seca last week?
Yeah, anywhere's better than Laguna Seca last week. I was quite pleased with race 1. I've been running top 10 pace pretty much all season, but making silly mistakes in the race, and last week was dreadful. So it was really nice to get a good finish in race 1, good chase through the field in race 2, and I'm a big fan of Brands Hatch. It's my home circuit, so I spend pretty much every weekend there. So it's really good fun. It's a great circuit. It's good racing.
You'll start the third race, the reverse grid from 14th position. What do you think you'll be able to get from that one then?
Well, it's difficult. It's it's diminishing returns, isn't it? Without any disrespect to some of the slower guys a bit further back, but the further forward you get, the harder it gets to make up places. So if I can get kind of a solid top 10, I'll be very, very pleased with that.
Okay, thank you, Marcus, and good luck.
No, thank you. Cheers, buddy.
Alright, that is Marcus Narris starting in 14th. Just got a few points from that last race, so he won't be too disappointed with that one, hopefully. We've got one more race coming up from tonight from Brands Hatch Indy here on BSR TV, and that's going to be coming up in about 10 or 15 minutes time. If you're watching us live, just stay where you are on the webpage and it should refresh itself. Feel free to get up and walk around, we're not police of that, but it should be an exciting one with a reverse grid, Dan.
Yeah, if I was you, I would want to come back for that. I wouldn't want to be missing that for sure, because if you think the first 2 races have been good, wait till you see the third one. I think that's going to be the grand finale as such, and I think it really is going to be a good race because we got the top 3 running so close together, but with the car Cobra Lopez having to start from 10th, we'll have Wild and Katz in front of him. He's also got Adam Terry, the championship leader, in front of him as well, so that's another name who's not really... He's had 2 solid finishes in the top 5, so it could have been a lot worse for Adam Terry. I think he'd be pretty content with that because Ellis Stevens and Simon Field, his main rivals in the championship, not had the best of race meetings so far, but Andreas Katz with 2 second place finishes inching ever closer towards him.
Thanks for that, Dan. Join us for round 15 in just a few minutes.